Hey everybody, it's Ed the Trainer back with you again here to talk tonight about, again, the differences between ECOA and HMDA in response to an email that I received from Dana asking if ECOA and HMDA are so connected, and ECOA says you can't discriminate while HMDA says collect the information about your borrower's demographics, how exactly does that work? And the real key in determining this, guys, is to understand what is it you're doing with the information you're collecting from the borrower. Right, so you're asking your borrower their demographics information as you are required to by law, according to the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act, while ECOA, on the other hand, says you can't ask a borrower their demographics for use in determining their credit eligibility. And that's really the key. You can't ask a borrower their demographics for use in determining their credit qualification. Right? ECOA actually requires a mortgage originator, a mortgage company, to disclose to the borrower that any information asked about their demographics is solely for government monitoring purposes, and also any of that information that's collected, or requested rather, of that borrower is at the borrower's discretion to provide. In other words, the borrower can choose not to provide that information if they feel uncomfortable in that it may be used as a determining factor as to whether they'll be granted credit. So while ECOA, again, is a preemptive law that says don't discriminate, and HMDA is a reactive or an historic look at the types of loans a creditor has done, the way that you can connect the two is just to understand that any information being collected for demographics reporting purposes for the federal government, that information can't be used to determine creditworthiness. And really the question is, what are you doing with the answers to those questions? Are you using the answers to those questions to determine creditworthiness? Or are you collecting that information for the purposes of passing it on to the federal government, realistically with a hand over your eyes, not even looking at it as the loan originator? And the fact that the borrower is given the opportunity to make the choice as to whether or not to provide it further protects them from being discriminated against. So you reconcile the two of those together, and this is a common question that people come up with. How does ECOA say you can't discriminate and you can't ask those questions for creditworthiness purposes, while HMDA says you must ask those questions to report the information to the government? And again, the real key is, what is your intention with the answers? As the mortgage lender, are you intending to use it to determine credit eligibility? Or are you collecting it merely to pass on to the federal government as you're required to by law? Hope that helps. It's Ed the Trainer. If you've got questions for me, reach out. It's edthetrainer.com, and you can email me directly at ed@edthetrainer.com.